What I do have is a trailer, and I think that trailer gives us a lot to work with. There are currently 2 trailers and a short ARG associated with the film. In the first trailer, the teaser trailer, we see a room in our reality as it goes through different iterations, becoming more and more obscure, eventually becoming the facade of a real room like what we see in the complex. Which certainly means I'm right about my dream theory thing, and I won't be proven wrong, and everything I've said in this video will be right, and Kane will not make me look stupid, assuredly. The film's protagonist, Clark, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, says this place builds room, or it's more like it remembers them. And the more it remembers something, the less it does. This seems to be in line with everything we've theorized so far. The complex uses spaces in our reality, but makes them different. Less detail, more abstract, maybe just from generations of recreating the same spaces over and over. Or as I theorized earlier, perhaps if it's using memory as a source, less access or time with people's memory, or different null zones, you get it. So everything we've seen in the teaser trailer looks pretty good and goes in line with stuff we've seen in the series. I can also confirm, having been there, that the final room we see in the teaser trailer is a real set. And I know I can say that out loud because Kane said that out loud, and if he didn't get in trouble, probably fine. Probably. But in the official trailer, there's a lot more to dissect. For one, we see that Clark owns a furniture store called Captain Clark's Ottoman Empire, which Ottoman Empire is an excellent name for a furniture store. In the trailer, we can hear Clark speaking to someone who we can assume to be his therapist or psychiatrist, named Dr. Mary Klein, played by Renate Reinsve. Which I just want to say, I mean, obviously it's super cool to see Kane make it this far and get this film made and see all this hype around it. He certainly deserves it. But it's also really cool to see such high-profile actors be attached to it as well. I mean, Chiwetel and Renate are highly acclaimed actors, and Mark Duplass, who's also set to star in the film, has made some of my favorite horror flicks. Creep was probably the scariest movie I watched in high school. It's cool to see in how many layers this has become such a cultural thing. I'm really proud of Kane. Don't let him watch me say that line. Pretend like you didn't hear that. Clark is saying that in the basement of the furniture store, he seems to have found a null zone, although he doesn't know to call it that. A null zone that, considering he lived to tell the story to Dr. Klein, has reliable entry both ways. In other words, it's one of these good null zones over here. And remember how I said it's likely that the complex copies things that are near its null zones? And the reason people don't fall into a one-for-one recreation of their space is because perhaps the null zones change which one you go in on and which one you come out of. Well, for this reliable null zone, just like the one we see at the end of Found Footage 3, after Clark passes through, what do we see? A bunch of furniture piled up. This would make sense because right on the other side of the null zone is a furniture store. It seems that the complex is just copying things that are in the door. Clark turns down a long hallway and sees this. This looks like the cardboard caveman from Found Footage 3. Previously, I've thought that the caveman was maybe created by the complex because it's reminiscent of like old Geico stanchions that used to be outside of cell phone stores. So maybe the one we saw in Found Footage 3 was just kind of an odd single creation. But seeing it again here makes me feel a bit different. What if, for whatever reason, Async is putting these things up? I'll have more evidence for that in just a moment. Clark tells Dr. Klein that he's going to come back to the proof and hands her a map to be true of what he walked through the complex. It's not the same layout, but this style of drawing a map reminds me a lot of Peter Tinch's that he drew right before the attack in Reunion. It then looks like the film is going to have some found footage segments, which is really cool. I mean, Kane's series is known for its found footage aesthetic, the old analog horror look. And it's funny because initially the analog horror format was just to hide the imperfections, the fact that it was in Blender. I mean, Kane's series looks amazing, but when you put the analog filter over it, in some places it's hard to tell what's real and what isn't. But because the series has like 100 million views based on that analog format, well, now it's just part of the show. And I'm really excited to see what he does with it in a live action setting. We see them come across a room with a Christmas tree and a bunch of half-sunken bodies in the floor that look like they're made out of the floor. If I'm right about the still life, and these are a bunch of still lives, this is a horrible room to be in. We see